largest real estate developer potentially going into default, $300+ billion in debt. They just recently, in the last 2 weeks, demolished 15 apartment buildings in, I believe, central China that were just sitting vacant for 8 years. They have a glut of real estate inventory in China, which could turn into an entire economic collapse over there. While on the other hand, here in America, we still have not enough inventory to meet demand. Pat, do you think there's any correlation with what's happening in the China real estate market in what's happening here that could impact the situation that we're in? We seem to be in a position of strength in real estate where they are not.
Yeah, I mean, China has a history of urbanization projects and where they build just massive amounts of infrastructure and you know, for instance, the 15 buildings there, I just found an article in 2017, they dropped 36 buildings. Same idea. They pre-built and overbuilt an area that just never kind of came to fruition. I mean, looking at all of our kind of details and stuff here, right? We're still, the home values in the US are still obscene over last year and the year prior, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Connecticut, I know we talk about a lot on a national level, is still massively higher, right, than it has been year over year. Connecticut's still at all-time highs, if I recall from last week, right? Or right just off of record highs from average and median sale prices.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically sitting at a record high for prices, for valuations on people's single-family homes. And we're also at a historically low inventory level. I mean, we've seen it soften up in recent weeks and start to, maybe get a little bit more easier for buyers. But yeah, generally speaking, especially on a 12-month rolling, we're at records for both.
Yeah, I think Bloomberg was saying, Bloomberg, number of homes listed for sale is currently 46% below the average level for the last 20 years. So your inventory point there, I mean, that's it's an insane amount. Depending
on which measure you're going to look at, like, Freddie Mac says that we are nearly 4 million homes short of demand right now. That's Freddie Mac. There's it's other sources that say it's over 5 million. So I keep going between that 3.7 million and about 5.5 million homes short of demand, just based on what we should be building every single year. That's where you get into those 5 million numbers.
Yep.
But yeah, we're not just throwing real estate up like China has for so many years. Mark Williams, Capital Economics chief Asia economist, says Evergrande's collapse would be the biggest test that China's financial system has faced in years. There's a whole bunch of homeowners that have been protesting as of late because they see the collapse coming and they know what that'll basically mean for their value, for their property value. Evergrande owns more than 1,300 real estate projects over 280 cities in China. So they are a monopoly when it comes to real estate development. Its property services manager arm is involved in nearly 2,800 projects across more than 310 cities in China. The company has 7 units dabbling in a wide range of industries, including electric vehicles, healthcare services, consumer products, video and television production units, and even a theme park. So they do everything, basically. And some of those things would definitely impact us right over here. Maybe not electric vehicles as much, but some consumer products, video and television production units, some stuff like that might impact us here. The firm says it has 200,000 employees, but indirectly creates more than 3.8 million jobs every year. That makes sense because if they're building all this stuff, they've probably got all these contractors. And their stock has taken a complete hit. So if you were invested in their stock, Pat, you saw an 80% hit just in the last year. So there you go.
Yeah, you're kind of having a rough time there. That's just in the Hong Kong index.
Just on Monday, around 100 investors turned up at Evergrande's headquarters in Shenzhen. How do you say that, Pat?
I like them both. I think they're both good.
We're going with that one. Demanding repayment of loans on overdue financial products. forming chaotic scenes. So not only are the homeowners doing a little protesting, but also the investors showing up at HQ. So not good. The U.S. is short 5.24 million homes, an increase of 1.4 million from the 2019 gap of 3.84 million. Again, according to new research from Realtor.com. Some 12.3 million American households were formed from January 12 to January till June 2021. But just 7 million new single-family homes were built during that time. So a new American household being formed is like, Pat, you got married a couple of years ago. Boom, new household formed, right? There you go. Stuff like that happening. Single-family home construction is running at its slowest pace right now since 1995. We know, and I know plenty of builders and developers locally that have just stopped, that have the demand, that have the buyers ready to buy, but they can't get labor and they can't get their prices on materials figured out. So they can't, it's very difficult to take a risk on building something when labor shortages have slowed down how quickly you can do these. There's way too much, city, town regulation on builders. I mean, it's harder to build today than it ever has been. It's very difficult because of government overreach in basically every single state in America for these builders, some easier than others, but Connecticut is one of those where it's hard to build. It's not easy to build. And then you have a labor shortage, and then you have uncertainty over, price of the building materials. And it's, forced a lot of builders to say, you know what, unless it's a high-end, very custom house, which is why we have a shortage in low-income housing, unless it's super high-end, I just may not build right now.